All right, guys, what's up, man? Today we are going to be talking about a fragrance from the house of Bentley. And from what I've seen, I don't want to say this isn't as popular, but it certainly is not talked about enough. And so I thought, let me pick it up. Let me give it a shot. Strap up. All right, welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the evening. Today we are going to be talking about, again, from the house of Bentley, we have Bentley Infinite Intense. And I want to first and foremost make a distinction. This is not Bentley Infinite Rush, though it is from the same kind of, what's the word? It is the same fragrance in essence. It's just a variation. From what I can see, there's Bentley Infinite Intense, and let me just show you guys here. There's Bentley Infinite Intense, and then there's Bentley Infinite Rush. And there's White Edition, there's Eau de Toilette, and there's Intense. Now, just to make sure, I am going to double check where I ordered this to make sure I'm either dealing with the Eau de Toilette or the EDP. So let's do Scent Decant. And this is the EDT. Okay, so when we look this up, let's make sure we're on the Eau de Toilette. Bentley, okay, so let's rephrase that here. Not Bentley Infinite Intense, Bentley Infinite Eau de Toilette. So you have Bentley Infinite Eau de Toilette, Bentley Infinite Intense, Bentley Infinite White Edition, and Bentley Infinite Rush. Later we'll be talking about Rush, but for today this is just the standard Infinite Eau de Toilette. Now, back to what we're here for. I apologize, but I always want to make the distinction because sometimes I've made the mistake of describing an EDP when it's really Eau de Toilette, vice versa, or there might be a variation that's not really mentioned much, but it's the actual fragrance we're talking about. We are talking about the EDT Standard Infinite Non-Intense. I'm going to put this on the test strip, and these little decants suck sometimes because you really got to have your aim right and you got to hold it in a weird way to get a good spray. But that's okay. We're just testing out fragrance. Bentley is known for, so far in my eyes, having smelled 3 of the fragrances so far, Bentley Absolute, Bentley Black Edition, and Bentley Ferment Intense, the very kind of Fougere, shaving cream, sweet, boozy Bentley line. They're just known for making incredibly manly fragrances to me. You know, I'll be 36 in February, and I am just a lover of masculine fragrances that aren't always sweet. You know, I can do a little bit of sweetness here and there. Some fragrances I can do really sweet, you know, the angel share and stuff like that. But for the most part, my appeal lately has been towards just ultra masculine fragrance. Woods, spices, aromatics, florals, greenery, musky, you know, fresh, stuff like that. And I've just really appealed to the masculine side of Bentley. Highly classy fragrances that a boss would wear, sophisticated, layered, somewhat simple sometimes, but nonetheless just highly masculine and no fluff about it. Some of them can be a little bit sweet, like for instance, Bentley Ferment Intense is probably the sweetest from the line, but most of them have kind of like a 10-20% sweetness max on them, and they mostly go in a different direction, leaning mostly masculine with all the different characteristics that I just went through. So initial impressions when I spray this Eau de Toilette, you know, EDTs a lot of times have a lot of pungency in the projection and sillage up front. Some stay around more than others, but they typically tend to be fresher, I find. And this fragrance is really something quite nice. It has a bit of a lot of bit of Fougere-ness to it. It almost has kind of elements of high-end shaving cream, high-end beard oils. It has some spiciness to it. It's extremely aromatic. It's very woody. It's reminiscent of qualities from Bentley for Men Intense. Somewhat of Black Edition. Absolute, I'm not so sure. But I just get this very woody, spicy, aromatic, manly fragrance. Is it reminiscent of anything? It has a little touch of kind of like Banana Republic's Black Platinum. A little bit. It's almost like Black Platinum from Banana Republic had a baby with a light version of Bentley for Men Intense without the rum. Fragrance is fairly dry. It's just very clean, classy. I don't know if I would call this modern Fougere. It sits somewhere between modern Fougere and old school Fougere. It's got modernness in its formulation and the smell of the classiness, but it has so much reminiscence of older qualities like the greenery, the spice, the woods, that it does take it up in the age scale for me. It also even has, surprisingly, a little bit of reminiscence of the blood orange fragrance, Terre de Hermes. It's not as orangey and sweet, but it definitely has that bite, that woodiness, that vetiverness. Let's go ahead and just kind of switch screens. I'm just trying to paint the picture that I feel with my nose as I smell this. Okay. And again, this makes all the sense in the world. We have a medley of citrus up top in cedar and lavender. I get all of that. Violet, bourbon, pepper, and geranium. I love the note of pepper as long as it's not just black pepper, you know, white pepper, Szechuan pepper, bourbon pepper. Again, just some sort of caveat so that the bite isn't so salt and pepper peppery, if that makes sense. It's not so black. And then in the base, we've got lovely Haitian vetiver, which is sticking its head out for a majority of the fragrance. Ambergris and patchouli. And I kind of get all of that, but it mostly leans heavy on this vetiver. I would say in a nutshell, this fragrance has most of the top, probably like a 40% citrus, cedar, lavender to it. And then about a 50% vetiver. And then maybe just the tiniest 10% of bite from pepper, patchouli. I'm not quite sure where the geranium and ambergris fall through because I think this is a slightly non-traditional rendition of those particular notes. But it definitely has this very, it's like a super classy take on earthy palette. Let's go to the... again, so just to kind of summarize for you guys, this has qualities of, if you're a lover of Terre de Hermes Eau de Toilette, Banana Republic's Black Platinum, and Bentley for Men Intense. It has not quite booziness, but just something from that fragrance is reminiscent. Maybe just the Fougere-ness. I don't know. Very nice fragrance, though. It does linger. It does feel like the projection, longevity, and sillage would be quite nice on this fragrance. This has to be at least a 4 to 5 hour fragrance, maybe even 6 to 8 when you ramp up the sprays. I would say this is a 25 and up fragrance, maybe even 30 and up, but there is such a nice freshness and lightness to it that I feel it can come down on age a bit. I think this is a any season, any reason fragrance, though it shines in spring and summer months. I think you have to safely go 5 to 6 sprays conservatively, and then 6 to 8 if you really want it to go the whole work shift. And then occasions, I feel like it's very much a work fragrance. It could be absolutely suit and tie. This sits somewhere between semi-formal and formal. It's not a very playful fragrance. It's a very manly fragrance. stepping out of nice vehicles, working at a job that doesn't have casual dress code, semi-formal and up, collared shirt, things like that, or even suit and tie. Serious occasions, maybe like a really exquisite date night where you're going out to like an upper scale restaurant and you want to feel manliness. It doesn't have those kind of cozy cuddle up qualities to it. It's very much like robust alpha male vibes. But it is super fresh. Like your woman would definitely get near to you and just know that you're a man's man, but it has no seduction to it in that regard. It's very much just standalone man. And it just has such a nice earthy vibe with just a touch of citrus. It's mostly a floral, vetiver-y, patchouli kind of composition, a little bit of lavender and cedar, woods, grass, florals, touch of citrus for just the tiniest bit of zest, freshness, and takes it a little away from earthy, but I still feel like 70% of this fragrance is very much classy, earthy take. And hopefully you remember the references that I told you. I like this fragrance a lot. I can comfortably give it an 8 out of 10. It's above average. I think also for the price point, you could probably get this fragrance for about $20 for 100 ml. And this is, again, if you're a fan of Terre de Hermes, Black Platinum, any of the other Bentley line, this is another great fragrance from the house of Bentley. I got to be honest with you guys. It's very nice. Again, somewhat hybrid Fougere, somewhat modern, somewhat classic, best of both worlds kind of vibes. Yeah, it's just nice. Absolutely worth the money. It's above average. I don't think it has a lot of signature to it, but I think because of its lightness and its freshness, it's ultra versatile. So it's like a must-have foundational blind grab fragrance for your collection, but it's just not going to make you smell super standout from the rest. But in terms of manliness, freshness, and class, it's certainly above average. You smell like you have money, you've got your stuff together, and that you have good taste. So it definitely gets you into the dance in terms of like upscaleness. It just falls short a little bit because of its lack of signature and lack of uniqueness in its formulation. Citrus, cedar, violet leaf, vetiver, common suspects here. But again, this is from the house of Bentley. Remember, to summarize this, to show you guys the different variations of Bentley, and this isn't the only Bentley fragrances. There are so many Bentley fragrances, probably over 20, but in terms of the Bentley Infinite line, this is the Bentley Infinite Eau de Toilette. Then you have Bentley Infinite White. Then you have Bentley Infinite Rush EDP. And then Infinite Intense. So there is an intense version of this. Let me see if it has the same notes. So it adds more resinous vibes to it, but for the most part, it's the same. So spices and resins probably to ramp up that intensity. The intense version might be a little bit better than this, perhaps, but you don't lose buying this fragrance. This fragrance is absolutely stellar. It's basically Terre de Hermes less orangey, but it still somewhat kind of has that fresh orange vibe because it has the citruses. So there's probably orange in the citrus accord. I appreciate you guys for rocking with me. Again, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, but more importantly, turn on that notification bell so you can see our episodes. Again, we've reduced down to twice a week with new fragrances, but then we'll offset that with going live, answering questions, participating on the community page, and then trying to do YouTube shorts at least 3 to 5 times a week. So you're rocking with me in the scent bubble again from the house of Bentley. This is Bentley Intense Standard Eau de Toilette, and you're rocking with me in the scent bubble. Have a blessed week. Until next time, peace.